Woo. All right. We are live and ready to go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Financial Life Podcast. I am your ridiculously handsome host, at least what I tell myself every morning in my head when I wake up. Because why not? There's no reason not to, right? Maddie D. And today I have a guest on, and this episode is really going to be about finance because her and I are both in the financial field, just from different perspectives. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So before we get into my guest and who she is, what she's about, and why you should listen to her, because you should, just saying. For those of you who know, some of you may know, some of you may not know, I do some things besides the podcast, like help people with financial literacy, some one-on-one coaching. I did a 5-day mini course on the 5 steps on how to create life you love recently. You can get that course from me. Also, people have this thing called credit. If you like help with any of those areas, simply go to speakwithmatt.info. Again, speakwithmatt.info. That takes you directly to my calendar. Book a call. No need to put in trip W. And usual, this episode is also sponsored by Born to Risk. I am one of the co-authors of the book. If you like a copy, please come to me to get one. All proceeds go to help out other veteran organizations. I'm a veteran. That book is all started by another veteran, so you're helping the veterans in a big way. With that being said, I'd like to introduce my guest, Deanna O'Neil, a lady that we got introduced. It's been 2 years at this point.
I think so.
Yeah. I think it was through NRG or something. And then we met and you're like, yeah, we should meet up every 6 months. Like, yeah, and we've done that. Cause I'm like, because every now and then I'm like, shit, I haven't talked to Diane. I hit her up. I'm like, boom, I found your calendar. I'm like, hey, how's life? How you been? So
Exactly.
go
The
back.
fact that you're doing it is great.
Exactly. I was like, I need to keep in touch with her. So, one, Deanna, how have you been?
Mhm.
Two, who are you and what do you do exactly? So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I've been great. Everybody says busy, but busy is not necessarily the best way to explain it. I've been productive. So I'm going to go with that.
Ah,
I've
I
been
like that.
very productive in not
Yeah.
just building business, but helping with similar topics of financial literacy. Let me just explain who I am. I am Deanna O'Neil. I am an accredited financial counselor. I am a business owner. I run an independent financial coaching firm. I am an financial advisor, investment advisor rep, and fiduciary. So I pretty much can help someone from basic understanding of finances all the way through understanding their investments and where to put it and what to do with it. So,
I
in a
like
nutshell, A to Z finances.
all right. And let me say this too, for your sake. In this episode, we can give good ask good questions. She'll give good advice. We cannot in any way endorse, be like, say, hey, that X, Y, and Z investment, you should definitely go for that. That other one, no, 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 we're not doing that. None of this. That's something you need to research on your own, or if you would like further help, you need to reach out to her personally and have a one-on-one. Because we ain't gonna do that. This is not the type episode. Oh no, 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 no. No, it's one thing. Diana, Deanna. I can't. It's such a. There's a Spanish way of saying it, and there's the American way of saying it. Like the reason why I
Mm-hmm.
forgot you because you have my sister's name, but my sister, we pronounce it Deanna, and that's what I've known for my entire life. And everyone's like, it's Deanna. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's weird. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's like,
It's not weird if you like Star Trek and you watch The Next Generation,
oh yeah, I remember
because
that.
Deanna
I remember.
Troy.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I remember. I was, oh, she's got my sister's name, but for some reason, that's the exception, and it's okay because it's Star Trek. Not that I'm a fan, but I was like, that's okay, that's fine. Everyone else is Deanna, but whatever, you know.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying for me. So no, but one thing I was said about you because you are you still doing what was it called? It was like the four keys or key or something like that.
Well,
Kai.
my company is Key Financial.
That's right. So
Mhm.
what? Because I was like key. I was like energy. Like, what is that all about? What does that mean exactly? How did you come up with that?
So Key, which is spelled Ki, is a Japanese word, and it is the basis of your inner well-being. A lot of people know the Chinese version, which is pronounced Chi,
Yes.
and that's what, for some reason, in Western culture, that has really taken off more. But in Japanese, it is Ki, And to me, that's personal because I did live in Japan for 7.5 years. I was able to
Oh,
be immersed in the culture a little bit. And so it kind of just felt natural, but it really is more than that. It's about explaining your inner self. And so when we talk about, and I look at it from a financial perspective, but if we don't understand what's going on inside ourselves, we're never going to be able to understand the numbers on the page or how they work or how they work with us, because our inner dialogue is going to control that whether we like it or not. And so that's
facts.
really where my company came from.
Oh, I know. So you lived in Japan for 7 years? I had no idea.
I did.
You've
It was
been
fun.
withholding information from me for 2 fucking years. I had no idea. Can you speak Japanese? Did you learn it fluently or no?
Oh no.
Good. Ooh, okay.
It's such a difficult language. I always said
Really?
I when I lived there I could speak food, because that's the most important thing, is being able to order in a restaurant. I could read basics and speak food.
Oh, nice. Yeah. The Japanese
So,
culture is very different. I don't know because I went to Okinawa and Okinawa has like been fighting for its own, I think to this day, fighting for its kind of own independence for more so from the US military. A lot of the
hmm
um, we're never like go like, nope, it's very good strategic because if war breaks out, we're already there. No, that's
but
unfortunate.
they're different than mainland Japan.
They
Mainland
are, they
Japan is
are. There's a
very different
difference.
than Okinawa.
Yeah,
hmm
there is difference, but generally what I mean from that is they're very nice. Tipping is it's just very different. I was like, wow. And
hmm
it's funny how they have this nice balance. I think it's what they're about. Like you said, it's like the key. It's like the balance of like this orderly, and then there's like a flow to it. They're very nice.
Right.
Nice. It was order. I'm like, it's very. It's. I was like, wow, this is different. You come back and you're like, this is a better way to live life than just go 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 go. No. So thanks for telling me that cool fact about you. No, I know she went to Japan for 7 years.
Absolutely. And I was running a nonprofit field office while I was there. So,
Wow. Okay. So how did living there? We kind of explain how does that influence the way you to influence what you do today?
well, that is just one piece of it. So living in
Mm.
Japan versus living, I mean, I've lived all over this country. I'm married to a military veteran as well, and so they move you. And so it changes your career trajectory as a spouse,
Right.
which is always fun. But trying to keep that up, trying to take the pieces. And so my financial career, I've been in the financial industries for 22 years, but I've done different aspects of it. I've done the corporate, worked
Mm.
for the big firm with the two names on it. I've done that. And then I've done nonprofit work. I've done HR work. I've done all these different pieces. And so taking the time that I lived in Japan, taking the time I lived in DC, putting it all together has really created what I like to think of as a very different kind of financial firm,
Right.
something that looks at the whole person, not just the numbers on the page, because we need to analyze those. When I worked with a nonprofit, I was helping in emergency situations, and finances and emergencies are chaotic and crazy. But there's so much more than that. There's so much trauma that can be tied to that, and if you don't address it, it just hangs out there, and it's I don't know. It makes me feel uncomfortable when we're not allowed to address it, and so that's where I like to take all those experiences and put together.
Why do you think at the bigger level, and by that I mean like one of the like not the bigger level, the corporate side, that they don't like dress the person like the whole. They're like, here are the numbers.
It takes time. It takes it takes more time and energy. Whereas the corporate level, they're all about, yeah, let's get the profit, let's get the accounts, because then that builds.
Right.
And so if you spend the time actually getting to know, or say you're even talking with a client, say they're an investment client and they want to do this, but they're scared. A lot of times at the corporate level, it's like, well, don't be scared, just do it.
Just
And
do
I've
it.
heard that said, and it's
Ooh.
really interesting because that doesn't sit right. They're like, oh, you shouldn't be scared. You should be allowed. You should be able to handle risk. At your age, you can totally handle risk. But that's not taking into effect what we're actually realizing with people. There's standards in the industry where we call it risk analysis analysts, if I can say that properly,
Same difference,
where
same
we
motto.
we determine based on just statistics how much risk a person should be able to handle.
Right.
But that's not always true based on financial traumas or the way they grew up, all of their family, something that happened to them in life, a divorce, anything
Right.
can really affect that. And so that's where you have to take that time. But that time means maybe not as much profit.
Mm. That profit there, that's like their drug, man. It's like that's their drug. Or as I said, that's like their God they worship. If that's not there, then they'll change and real quick. So,
Hmm.
and then you have the nonprofit side, and how did that kind of influence or impact into, you know, now?
Well, I loved working with it, but with most nonprofits, they're kind of, they help once. It's really, okay, we help right now in this situation and then go on and be on your way. And I wanted to be able to help longer,
Yeah,
not just band-aid the situation, not just fix right now. Let's not just stop the leak. Let's figure out why it's leaking in the first place.
right.
And that's really so when I started my coaching, and that's why I got my AFC, which is my accredited financial counselor, it was be able to help those clients for a long term and fix those cracks and whatever it is so that they can actually become successful. And I do that a lot with business owners as well, because it's amazing how many business owners are amazing at what they do, but their finances, it's a little bit, it's there. Sure, it's there.
Right, right, right. Because it's not taught. This is not taught. And
Right.
you go into the world and you may start off working a job and then you work in a business and you have no idea, no one taught you basics, learn the hard way, and then here you are years later trying to get yourself out the hole or starting anew and just it seems like everything's crumbling down, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
fun, the finances, and you're right. I like how you approach it where you want to work with them long term because it's a marathon. I tell people, credit's a marathon. Too many people come in and they're like, "Oh, I care about it because I need this thing right now." It's like, yeah, but it's gonna continue to follow you for the rest of life. Like, why are we just so, and do you see that with what you do with people, or is it more so they are truly are more focused on the long term with what you do?
I see both, definitely. There are those that are like, okay, can you fix this now? Just tell me what to do right now, and I'm good for the rest of my life. And I said, that's not how it works. And so we talk and explain it. Then there are those that, which is frustrating because they're like, well, I want you to help me understand money, but I don't want to pay for it. Which, okay, go see the nonprofit. They'll help you that one time, and that's
Why
pretty much
not?
it.
I want to lose weight, but I want to pay for it. Okay. Good luck with
Yes,
that.
yes. And then there are those that really understand it. They're like, okay, so it's more than just meeting once a year and you looking at my portfolio and saying it's okay. And that's very true. Now, some people that's all they want. That they
Right.
really want the hands off. They're like, just let me get the accounts, let them sit, tell me if they're doing well. Okay, that's fine. That's you. That makes sense. But it's figuring out what that piece is for each person that is important. But yes, absolutely realizing it's the long haul. I mean, with any kind of coaching, it's the hope. If you're working with someone at debt, well, let's get them out of debt, but let's also teach them how to not get back into it.
There's 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 that too. It's and that's where we go into the inner world, the behaviors, beyond behaviors. It's like you said, the trauma and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
how I want to ask you, what does I think you said you called it financial trauma? I think you.
Mm-hmm.
What
Oh
does
yeah.
that look like? Because people may hear it, and I'm like, and they are like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I know what it looks like, but I don't think people understand what it looks like in their life.
So there are major financial traumas, big ones. Someone losing a job, that's a big financial trauma. Someone becoming homeless, huge financial trauma. There are financial traumas of financial abuse, where partners will control their other partner completely and not allow them to have any money. Those are huge financial traumas. Then there are the small ones.
Oh,
The small financial traumas are things that we all have actually. So my I guess my favorite example is a friend of mine, and she's in the financial industry. And when she was young, she loved her grandfather. They spent a lot of time together. She respected him. He was a great man, but he was always very frugal. That was always the word frugal. Oh, I don't need to spend money on that. I don't need to spend money on that. I don't, no, you don't need that. Always saying those kinds of things. We don't need that. Well,
jeez.
she grew up and she went to college and she's graduated, got her first job, and she decided that she was going to buy a car. She's like, I'm a college grad. I'm going to buy a car. And yes, it had a car payment, but she said, I'm going to do this. And so she finally bought a brand new car for the first time. She could figured out the budget. She can handle it, everything. She brings it home. She's so excited. And what does her grandfather say?
You don't need that. Why'd you do that?
Why'd you buy that? Why'd you
Right.
buy that? Why'd you waste all the money on that? So her entire life, in the back of her head, she always hears her grandfather saying, you don't need that, or why waste your money? And that is a repetitive trauma. Those are the kinds of things that program us and lead us to make decisions in our adult life. When we hear our parents tell us, oh, we can't afford that, we can't afford that, that's not always true. But it programs that child to always say, I can't afford this, even if they have the money. When in reality, it could be, oh, that's not in the budget. Let's figure out if it's possible. And it's reframing the way we talk to our children, the way we talk to ourselves, because that's huge. If we can reframe that inner monologue of, well, it's not that you can't afford it. It's that you're choosing to spend money here or here rather than this.
I like that. That's a good point. It's a reframe,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It's a reframe.
And, like we don't
Absolutely.
like it's so true. And on the credit side of things, well, I remember growing up, and you've probably heard this too. Like, let me ask you this: when you were growing up and your parents told you about credit cards, what did they tell you?
Nothing really. I just saw my mom swipe it
There you
a
go.
lot.
Okay, so you got that experience. Most people, I think, when I say this, will agree. When I heard about credit cards growing up, especially when I got one, people are like, "You're evil. Don't use it."
Mm-hmm.
That's what you hear. They're evil. Don't use it. And the problem is, you go with that program, you don't realize it, and so you're like, "Oh no, this is bad," and like, me not touch it, and then you just screw it all up. Whereas credit cards are not evil; they are a tool if you use it
Mm-hmm.
wisely. But again, no one teaches you that. You like
No,
again, don't use it, put it away. I'm like, that's not how it's supposed. That's not how it works. Like, and they
right.
know this, so they give you a card, you make all this money off of you, goes to collections. They understand how much money they're gonna make and how much money they're gonna lose, write it off, and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that again is the programming. And so some of our traumas are external family, and that belief. They think that money is bad. Money is the root of all evil. What happens when you start earning money? Well, you think it's the root of all evil, so I shouldn't have any of it. So you spend it all so you don't have it because then you're good.
Yep, I'm good. I'm not bad. I don't have it, but you're not happy still. Ironic.
Right. And hearing that credit cards are evil, well, then no debt. Well, then how are you ever going to progress in this life if you don't have a credit score and you haven't created those things? Because again, the education system fails on that left and right.
Oh, all day. We won't talk about the student loan crisis, which is ridiculous because it's like it's predatory on one end, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's like you didn't have to, but no one tells you that because we're all slowly into college and this is the option. No, 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 no. It's like it's like all right, now we're all paying for it
Well,
hard.
it's interesting the student loan situation. So I have my son is a freshman in college, and people are like, "Oh, you're paying for it." I'm like, "No, actually, I'm not. I'm not paying for his schooling. I am guiding him with education through this process." And we talked about all the different pieces where he could work and where he could do this, and he actually chose to take out a private student loan, but he understands fully all the implications. And I allowed him as a young adult to make this choice, and I said, "Okay, this is how it's going to be." And he said, if I do this, I'm going to pay the interest and I'm going to keep it. So he knows that you pay the interest while you're in school. The money doesn't keep accruing on top of what you already took out, but he's fully aware of those situations. But I couldn't do it for him. That's the interesting thing is I had to say, okay, this is the lesson. What are you going to do? And sometimes that's really hard to do that with our kids, but navigating the system and seeing what they're offering out there is just crazy because he would never have been able to understand all the different things that the loans are offering or how they're structured without me reading through them with him.
Mm.
Like it didn't make any sense. He's like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know what they're trying to offer.
Right. There you
So
go.
yeah, the predatory lending.
Well, then the other side to it is student loans. It makes sense. And this is the point that I hadn't even thought of myself, where it's like, okay, student loans, you have that, but then you have business loans, and the ridiculous of what they require is so stupid. If you're a business, and it makes sense. One, it's like, okay, you're a business, you want to know, hey, if I'm lending money, I need to know your financials, all this stuff. But like the hoops may go through, it's like your credit score, all this stuff, da, 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 so they can get paid back. But when it comes to being a student, like you don't have to know a damn thing. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just know where you're going. No guaranteed income. Nothing. You want to go to school? Do you know what you want to do? Nope. Here's a student. It's like, wait a minute. Well, what?
Yeah.
Put it in the credit score,
Oh,
nothing. Just here you go. Whoop. It's like, why are you doing that? To set you
well,
up. If you're financial literate,
exactly.
it sets you up to that way.
Hmm.
The government leverages you for many, many years. It makes money.
Right. Well, and so many of them make you think that they are government loans and they're not even that anymore. They
Which
they use they use names that catch you. You're like, oh, okay, that's going to be like sponsored. It's kind of like the predatory lending against veterans. They use military names and acronyms to kind of hook them, thinking that it's sponsored by the government or the military, and it's not.
nope.
And so we have that all over the place with this false advertising and lack of education. People are just set up to fail.
Education, I swear, that's the biggest thing. I mean, doing this now, I realize, I look back, I'm like, you know what? I should have just learned in school, other than like basic math and writing and stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
money. Anything else in the back, I'm like, there's no point unless you need it for a specific career, like trying to be a lawyer or a doctor or engineer, something like that. Fine. Beyond that, you don't need to. You need to just learn the money, how it works, because no one really cares about your A's and B's and anything else you got. It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. And I remember being so stressed out about it. Like I stressed out on stuff for no reason. None. Why?
Well,
Deanna, tell
that's a
me
whole nother
why. Tell
conversation.
me, tell me
Our
why.
our education system. And it's
Ew.
interesting because if you look at it now, you look at high schools in the US, and I think it's 21 states now that have some kind of financial education that they offer, but it's not always mandatory.
It should be.
Whereas, just like you said, biology is mandatory. Okay, great. I understand how the reproduction of a plant works. Okay,
Oh,
great.
synthesis, right? That's great, cool, and.
But I don't understand how to balance a checkbook. Not that people use checkbooks anymore, but the concept, how to fill out a 1040.
I got taught that years ago, so that was my tax education. That's as far as it went. Things
you
about
know,
this. They're talking about taxes and the financial history. That's an interesting
mm-hmm,
one. People be like, wait, what? Oh yeah, this is something new. It's just go do this, learn these, get these grades, go to school because
mm-hmm.
we're told that that's the only way you can be successful, and it's total bullshit. It's not.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's interesting because some high schools will teach like a financial math, but usually that's for, they call it the other students look at it as remedial math. And so it's for those that can't cut it in algebra or geometry or calculus. And I'm like, but it's got the good stuff. It's got the
It's stuff,
things you
it's
need
stuff
to
you need.
know.
You're right. So they're gonna go in that, no, oh, this is how it works, great, and be better off financially. You're gonna be broke and struggling and like wondering why you're not getting. It's like because the remedial
Which
math.
I actually have seen that tradespeople straight out of high school sometimes are more financially literate than college grads.
Irony. And then you get the people who either graduate or drop out, start businesses, and hire the people that come to college. For them. And it's like, oh, who's the idiot now? You need me for a paycheck, right? Oh yeah, you do. Oh, the irony of it, but the thing is, like, I just wish I was taught this years, so many years ago. I've been like, okay, cool, man. But your
Well, I
parent,
wouldn't say that.
but it's on your parents. They're like, you need to go do this. And you're like, okay, cool. If you don't, you get punished. Instead of being like, this is not how this works. This is another way. This is what you need. Learn it.
Absolutely. And we talk so much about, okay, it didn't happen, it didn't happen. So the question really begs is, what do we do now? How do we fix it? So you take someone middle age, can they fix it? And the answer is yes, but they have to want to. They have to want to fix it. They have to want to change and learn. And there's so many things out there to learn. We have resource overload. That's
Oh yeah.
so much. And so people are like, well, I learned about this. And that's another interesting topic that I see all the time is people call me, it's kind of like doctors get this. The patient comes in and said, I need you to prescribe this.
Doctor's like, what? What
Whereas
is
the
it?
doctor's like, wait, where did you hear about this drug and why am I prescribing it? Right.
It was on
Well, I
Reddit
get
and
that.
YouTube and no TikTok. It was on TikTok and I
Right.
saw the proof. It's like, no.
Yeah. So I actually have clients and TikTok videos is one of them. They'll send me a TikTok video. They're like, well, I like it when they at least say, is this true? The interesting thing about TikTok side tangent is you will never see a registered investment advisor or financial advisor on TikTok because we're not allowed. We're not, it's our regulation says that we are not allowed to have a TikTok account to say the things. So people who are spouting off financial information usually aren't licensed financial professionals. They may have been in the past, but a lot of times they've given up their licenses in order to do that.
Right.
So there's,
Now I can say what
but
I want.
anybody, yeah, but
Right.
anybody can go on TikTok and say, oh, you should do this and this and this. And so clients will come to me, well, I heard this on TikTok, or I saw this website. Is this investment good? Or is this, they bring it to me and I say, okay, what are you trying to achieve here? Are you trying to achieve a big picture? Or are you trying to just do that one thing? And so it's that learning, it's the filtering through resources and working with people, professionals can help because it really does give us that guidance because so many people try to learn it and they're like, okay, I'm going to learn finances and they go on Google and it just explodes in front of them and they don't have a clue which direction to go.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen I think it's on TikTok. I don't know if it's just on TikTok, but I've heard of this before where what is it? It's like you oh God, what am I trying to say? Is I've seen it on I've seen a clip about a video from it about on TikTok. And there's a lady years ago talked about where it's like through some legal process, which I don't know if it's true legit, but it's like people are like, yeah, I got my like their car is not registered to state and it's still legal, and it's like they got their mortgage discharged, all this crazy stuff, and it's like they're like being a sovereign citizen or something. And I'm like, okay, first off, like, okay, did you hear about the trend? I don't know if it's still going where where I was this is on YouTube as well. People were saying, "Yeah, did you know that your social security number is actually an account routing number on your back, and you can use it to pay for bills and tie to treasury and all." Yeah, yeah, crazy stuff like that I've seen, and I'm like, and then people try it, and then they get caught, and they go to jail, and it's like fine, and I'm like, it's the dumbest thing. Have you heard some crazy stuff like that, or with the Chase fake fraudulent Chase fake with the check? I was
I've
like,
heard so
oh,
many things. I've heard people say, I mean, there's conspiracy theories, of course, but there are things like, oh, well, the stock market doesn't really exist.
okay,
It's just there to as an image. I heard that one. That one was interesting. I was like, oh, okay.
really?
Now, granted, it is all digital. We're not trading paper shares. We're not dealing in ways that people used to, but it does exist. But it was some theory of it only exists to build big businesses and those only people that have it. And it's the same person. I said, well, do you have a 401k? And they're like, yeah. I said, you're probably invested in the stock market.
Yeah, yeah, they are in
And
some.
they look and they're like, what?
Yeah, it's like your 401k is based on the stock market. It doesn't find from the
Mm-hmm.
the more you know star.
Well, and that's the miscommunication. Really, we get so much mixed up stuff that we just don't understand, and so trying to fill those out. So where do you find those answers? And it's a struggle. It's a struggle for financial professionals actually to correct people because we're not trying to say, oh, you're wrong, but we want to give you the correct information.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you don't get in trouble with the law, number one. Then number two, you don't lose money, and then you
Mm-hmm.
go, then you're so yeah, it's I've heard something
Well,
like that, and I just go. And the funny thing is, when I've heard that, I'm like, can you provide proof? And like, I've not seen one person provide proof. Other than, of course, they're selling. Other than like, hey, you want to do it? Here's my course for like 3 grand or some shit. And I'm like, mm,
right. Well, and it's interesting as we start looking through what it takes to be a financial professional nowadays. Anybody can wear that title. So, how do you vet? How do you work with? How do you find someone that's going to give you accurate information? And then how do you educate yourself? Because that's what's important. As a adult, anywhere from age 20 to 90, we can continually educate, but we have to filter more and more and more of everything being thrown at us.
yep,
And then our children, it's being thrown at them even more, and they're watching by example and they're learning. And so we have to filter that so we can teach them. And everybody goes, well, maybe we should just throw our hands up in the air and not even try. And I'm like, well, we got to keep trying.
Yeah, because it's a lot of work. I mean, I didn't think about that. It's just so much coming at once. So what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then you're like, I don't know. Because I do keep clients be like, hey, is this thing true? Can they really do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, yes, they can. No, they can't. Don't do that. Don't.
Hmm.
There's,
Well, yeah. The biggest information, like people are confused, misinformation, and then predatory companies, we go back in full circle to that, are kind of riding that misinformation. Like I'll go back to debt and collections agencies because they do that. Most people don't know that it's actually against the law for a collection agency to reach out to an extended family member.
yeah, they don't know that.
Yeah,
But they're trying,
yeah,
their
they.
excuse is I'm trying to locate the person. It's
I'm
like,
just trying to locate them. I'm like, well, and I quote the law to them if they ever call for any extended family member, and I get hung up on all the time. They don't
real
like
quick.
me,
Yeah.
but people don't know that. And so the companies utilize the lack of knowledge.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Companies out there selling different kinds of investments, we'll just put that in quotes, or companies trying to help people with financial coaching or anything like that. There's so many different avenues. And so being the first step is to be a savvy consumer of anything as you want to learn and finding the right guidance and finding some information that is valuable.
Yeah.
So being able to share on the internet is fantastic what we can.
But you can within your limitations, which makes sense. What are with what you do, like some of the mistakes you see people have made working, I'm sorry, before they come to you, and then do you have clients that still don't listen to you while they work with you, and you're kind of like, why did you do that? I didn't tell you to do that. Where were you? I'm here. I said go here, and you went way over there. I didn't say
Mm-hmm.
go over there. You know?
Mm-hmm. Always. I have to be very careful because, maybe my clients are watching and I never want to throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
I
I'm just
love
saying.
all of my clients. And of course, I always respect personal information. But some of the big mistakes that I would say in general before meeting with a financial advisor or a financial coach is just not paying attention to your finances, like at all. Some people are like, oh, whatever, it's fine. It's fine. And they don't realize what they have. They don't know where money's going. They have no idea. The second big mistake I see is, and I see this more and more with young people, is they get that good job out of college, they're putting money away in their 401k, they leave that company and they drain their 401k.
They drain it.
I have seen this so many times. They cash it out. And like, they're like, oh, it only costs 10% to cash it out. I'm like, you have no idea how much you lost in the time value of money, in being able to just keep that. You've invested so much right now that can help you so much in the future. And it's
Right.
frustrating because no one told them not to.
All right. You're starting over at
They're
zero
like,
again. Yeah. And it's like
yeah,
you
so they
go real quick.
restart. And so I've seen adults restart at 30 and at 40 and at 50. Um, and then I will say one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot with couples is putting all of their money into one of the person's retirement. And I see that that's a mistake because there are a lot of divorces later on. And yes, they can split it, they can do things like that, but it really can cause a lot of issues putting it all in one account because
Yeah.
there's no such thing as a joint retirement account. You can have joint annuities, you can have things like that, but when it comes to actual 401k ERISA controlled retirement accounts, they're all individual.
And then if you get divorced, you really think they're going to want to split it evenly?
It's a fight. There are a lot of
Oh,
fights in courts about that. Like I did this for you, I supported the kids or whatever, and
I just
trying to
heard more.
split the
Yeah,
retirement
yeah,
account.
exactly. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have yours, I have mine. Just keep it built that way.
Right.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and with business owners not creating a retirement account, they don't think they can, and yet they can. They can create those kinds of supplemental accounts. So there's all these different mistakes. Then it comes to like dealing with clients. I mean, the biggest thing is when I say, okay, let's talk about this. Let's, you know, lay all this out. Let's figure out what the next steps are. And then they just go ahead and do something. And you're like, well, we hadn't gotten there yet. Oh, well, I decided to do this. I'm like, so why did you hire me?
That'd be better. It's like, no, that's not what I said. I need you to come back here
Mhm.
one step at a time. We'll be good.
Yeah, most are really good though. I love the people I work with. I have met some amazing people that have really grown and changed, and that is what is fantastic. That's what makes you feel good about what you're doing, and helping all different ages. I have clients that range in age from 23 to 78.
Wow, that's a
So
range.
it is a range, and it's very different. And helping each one out, but really helping them see what it is that they have the potential to do or have the potential to even have right now. Helping a client figure out, oh, huh, I can pay my bills. All I had to do was this, or cancel this account or whatever, and work through all those steps. Or, oh, I can save $25 a week. That's not that hard. I can do that. Those little steps. So that's the rewarding part, because once they really sit down and start working through it, they get it.
Yeah, that's the how do I say this? It's that like that's the rewarding part of what we do. It's like you help someone like, oh yeah, you can change. Oh my God, yes, there's light in the tunnel. You're not stuck in your situation. You can change it. Here's how we do it. And then move on from
Mm-hmm.
there. It's good stuff. Okay.
Absolutely. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing.
I would hope so. If not, I'd be like, well, can't have you in the pockets anymore. You stop. Like, "Sure, I wanted something different. Went back to nonprofit. I was like, all right, it's her prerogative, which she was on.
I'm good. I'm going to keep doing this as long as it brings me joy and happiness. That's really what's important. It's not about my book of business where residuals or any of that kind of stuff. It's about the people and the humans, and that's what I value. A lot of financial advisors stay in the industry for decades and decades beyond where they are helping and providing value to their clients because they can keep getting residual income. And that's frustrating for a lot of clients because they don't feel like they're getting that value. So at a point where I don't feel like I can do that anymore, I need to be strong enough to say, this is my time to turn it over to the younger generation.
There we go. I like that. Yeah, because younger generation needs this, needs the help, needs the information that we didn't get growing up,
Mm-hmm.
because someone had told me 15, 16, when I was 15 or 16, like, hey, you want to work and let's talk about money and I can make more of it and I can buy more video games. I'm like, shit, let's do it. I would have been all over it. I would have been so motivated. Let's do this is boom, 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 and just growing it. But like again, no one tells you, so we're programmed to be consumers and just spend, 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 spend. Buy,
Right.
buy this,
Which
buy.
again, no one explains. They're like, well, you can buy it on credit and you don't have to pay it back right away. Oh, forget about the interest rate. We won't really explain that to you.
Ex-
And you see young people with 25%, 29% interest rates on credit cards. And when you tell them, yeah, that didn't cost you $1, that cost you $1.25. What?
I'm like, why? I don't get it. So if I give you $500, when you pay me back, you're paying me back $700. You're like, wait a minute, where did that 200 come from? It's called interest. I
Mm-hmm.
lend you money, I made 200 bucks. I'm not doing a damn thing. You did all the work. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But that's essentially how lending works. These monies gets made out of nowhere. No wonder this is
The
so
money tree.
popular. Yeah, it's like you want $1,000? Sure.
Exactly.
I want back $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because that's how I make more money. Like I said, profit. Don't you want me to lend you more money? Yeah, why need to make a profit? As they tell us a random question. Okay, maybe you can ask this, but saving money, do you like, or anything in ways like by saving money, I mean like actually getting interest on the money?
Mm-hmm.
What do you recommend for people? Because if you put in a regular mainstream bank, you'll get like, if you're lucky, 1 point. If
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot.
That's a lot at a mainstream. Absolutely. Just for general savings, there are a lot of high yield savings out there. You have to find them. They're mostly held by investment companies, but they are savings accounts. Now, granted, they're not doing as great as they were 2, 3 months ago because they have variable rates, but most are making anywhere from 4 to 4.5% right now
Yeah, it's
interest,
still
which on
good.
a savings account is not bad.
No.
Um, those are a great place to start. those exist, like I said, most investment companies, obviously there's companies I work with that do that, but they are truly just savings accounts. And then as people want to earn more, it's teaching about the different levels of investments because there are different kinds of investments. There's fixed, there's variable, there's a combination, you
Yeah.
know, and people go, well, what does that mean? We think about this with mortgages. Well, what's a fixed rate mortgage? Well, what's a variable interest mortgage? Trying to explain those differences. The same thing can happen with savings. The same thing can happen with investments. And so helping people understand those next steps. But high yield savings are a great place to start because they are accessible by the masses.
Yep.
It's really just figuring out where they're offered. And I always provide advice and guidance on that and helping people understand that, yeah, at least make your money earn more than, hopefully more than inflation.
That's the goal. That's the goal. And there's ways to do it, but that's a whole different conversation that involves different strategy and things, which
Oh
by
yeah,
the
there's so
way,
many strategies.
yeah, which I'm sure you help your clients do, you know.
Absolutely. Finding a good combination of a strategy that works based on different rates of return to get that ideal. Because what is it really for? What is the purpose? That's what we're doing. What's the purpose of making money?
Because I like to say that I'm a badass. Because I can.
We
Yeah.
all
Based on these numbers, I am. But that's me tying my worth to something that I shouldn't internally. That's why I hire you to help me work on that. See?
it's helping
No.
everybody figure out the purpose. It's not just about making money. It's about having a purpose for that money. It's about having a goal that you want to get to.
Yep.
And if your goal is to get to, comfortable life, let's get you to a comfortable life. What does that look like? Well, for you, Matt, that's different than for me.
Very.
But it's not necessarily you got to make $10 million right now.
But who doesn't want
Let's
to
figure
make
it
$10
out.
million right now? You're going to tell me no? I'd be like, you're an idiot. You don't want $10
Well,
million?
if you made $10 million right now, that you'd probably pay at least, well, through the end of 2024, you'd pay 33% taxes on that. And then,
I mean, hey, that's still a lot left. I'm like, okay, great. I have enough to make more with it, so screw it. Put a million aside, I can just rest on. Come on. That's it. I'd be like, okay, cool. How did that? I can do what I want. Let it just grow and do some other shit. It's fine. Let the government
absolutely.
get its share. Then I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. Then the rest is hiring people like yourself and everything else. Be like, how do I pay less in taxes?
Mm, see, there's a good strategy to also work with. And that's where businesses always run into issues, especially small businesses.
Yeah.
Um, they don't know what they can deduct or they didn't know what can help them reduce their tax burden. And I see so many small businesses way overpaying on taxes
Yep.
because they don't know any better. But so many adults are overpaying on taxes in their retirement because they haven't had those strategies. So that's a big one. And I'm a firm believer that yes, taxes are important to pay for our government to pay for things. And if you're ever going to find a tax strategy that works for it, it should be legal by all means. But there are ways to not pay as much, especially to support your small business or your family and things like that. Absolutely.
Yep. I like that. This has been good. Um, any last words or things you want to share with them with people?
Well, that's always a good question. Last words. I mean, really, what it comes down to is what I post, and of course, I'll plug my business. If you want to check out some of my basic philosophy, you can check out my website. It is Key Financial. That is KIFinancial.life, LIFE. And you can see that I believe in financial wellness. I really think that we need to figure out what's going on in our head before we can figure out what's going on in our bank so that we can help it grow, so that we can help it utilize, everything in this world as long as we're not getting in our own way.
Yep.
So that's really how I work. I love educating and helping people understand things. And I love working one-on-one with individuals to really build that foundation so that they can be successful, but so can the next generation. So I am here to answer any questions and feel free to email me. Again, it's Deanna at keyfinancial.life. Again, that's KIfinancial.life. So reach out to me, ask me questions. There's no charge for that because I love educating. So you know, and if you want to work with me, I would love to. I would love to help more people out and teach more people to be in the industry to care. That's really what it comes down to.
Awesome. Cool. So what's the website again they can reach you at? Keyfinancial.net?
Life.
.life. See, that's why I asked again.
Mm-hmm.
Financial
It is
dot
adult
life.
life. KI financial.life.
It's very unique. So awesome, Deanna O'Neil, AFC. Always freaking cool. No F bombs this time. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. I thank you for being on. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Matt. It's wonderful to be able to just share and have a good conversation. And I love chatting with you. So
Cool. Awesome. Appreciate it.
that's wonderful. Thank you.